Hello, can you hear me? Mr. Kenna, can you hear me? Uh, Miss Clarita, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Too.
Good evening. Uh, let's go ahead and get this going. I think we are a little bit behind time, so let's go ahead and get this started. Uh, I want to start by welcoming everybody that is live right now with us. I'm also streaming on the Facebook as well. Uh, but those online are seeing just me. If they want to participate and join maybe the broadcast, they can click the link and join and engage. Today, we will be talking on leadership, and it's something that I hold so dear in my heart. I believe that leadership is everything. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And so today I'll be sharing with us some very vital principles of leadership. Because if you look at our nation today, you would say that we are in need of a leadership. To be in a position of power doesn't necessarily indicate that you are a leader. We are struggling or have diverse perspectives in our country because of the limited understanding of leadership. And so I want us to have that conversation. And if anyone is watching us, watching me online, I encourage you to engage. If you want to participate, there are people in the background that probably will respond to or ask questions. But if you are not in the meeting, you cannot participate. You can only write comments online. But if you want to engage, click the link. You can join our meeting. And as you join, if you're watching online, I want you to remember that you have to have your cameras on. We need to see you, right? We cannot nurture leaders that we cannot see or people that we don't know who they are and they want to lead. So, on that note, I want us to dive really straight into the topic. Uh, Miles Monroe is one of those individuals that I started my personal development journey with. How many of you here know of Miles Monroe? Anyone know of Miles Monroe? Can I do you? Do you know of Miles Monroe?
No, I don't know about it.
How about you, Miss Clarita? Do you know of Miles Monroe?
Yes, sir.
Okay, interesting, beautiful. So I started my personal development journey studying some of his materials, and it served as a foundation to understanding what leadership is all about. I've studied some of the greats to Alexandra the Great. I'm so sure most of you or some of you watching understand who he is. And you probably know Jesus Christ, one of the greatest leaders of all time as well. He said everyone was born to be a leader. And I think that was a statement that many people like find confusing. Like, how can everyone be born a leader? If everyone was born a leader, and then the question is, who will follow? But he stretched the point to explain that everyone was born to lead in an area of their gift. That is, you possess certain gifts that you were created to lead in that department. You were not created to lead people. Today, online, the phenomenon is if you have followers, that those are the words people use, and then you are categorized as someone that is leading. Now, John Maxwell, if you know of John Maxwell, I think he's written the most books on this subject of leadership. And he said leadership is influence. I think that is how he summarized everything. I have a couple of his books, amazing individual. Influence. That is your ability to influence people towards a direction that is designed for good. If you can influence people, then you are a leader. That is another angle, another perspective. But if you have studied the works of Miles Monroe, because what I see, especially in the Black community, African community, Cameroon community to be precise, is those who have followed Miles Monroe for some time didn't really take his work to heart. Because if we really took his work to heart, there are many problems within our nations that we would have solved just with his materials. One of the things he coined out is one of the triggers that develops that leadership in you is anger. Anger. That is, you are angry about a particular aspect of your nation, your company, your life, your family, that you rise up and say, it stops. And he said, at that point, a leader is born. But when I say the things that I say, some people are really looking at some certain qualifications that you need to have in order to be a leader. Some people are looking at someone that comes from a particular demography, a particular family, a particular socioeconomic strata, so that they can follow that person. Because when you put out a idea that is aimed at bringing relief, and you see the response, and you ask yourself, okay, do we really understand the gravity of the pain? If that is the case, and then we should be able to understand what we need to do to come out of that situation. So today, I want us to talk about you developing your personal leadership. And that is why we said everyone here, especially at Nation Builders, especially at CSDP, we are nurturing you to become a leader. Because when everyone discover their personal leadership, there will be less chaos. You don't have to run after people because people know exactly what they need to be doing. Because why? They are self-led. Jesus Christ is one of the examples, because as a leader, you should not be moved by crowd, because the tendency is if we don't have X amount of followers, and then we are not making progress. Maybe I'm coming for a meeting, I don't see X, Y, Z, and then I feel like, oh, maybe things are not working the way I anticipate. I didn't show up for myself. I didn't show up because I look at the issues within my country and I feel like I have a responsibility and a duty to bring about transformation. No, I showed up looking at everyone else that showed up for the meeting. I didn't show up because I have that duty and responsibility to bring about transformation in my nation. Are you tracking? Leadership. There was a time in the Bible, if you recall, Jesus Christ fed thousands of people. Thousands of people. I'm sure we are all familiar with that story. And you realize that after that particular incident, a group of people were running after him, say 70. And he turned around and he was skeptical. In our contemporary world, if people are following you, oh my God, we will be so happy and like, oh wow, welcome, we have everybody in here. No, he said, why are you guys following me? Is it because of the fish and the bread? Right? And he told them, I think it's because of the fish and the bread. And if you want to follow me, he said, you are going to eat my flesh and drink my blood. That was a very scary thing for these individuals to hear him say that, right? And the next thing is all of them disappeared. Why? Because leadership has a cost. There's a cost to leadership. They disappeared. Jesus Christ did not stop there. He turned around and asked the rest of his disciples, are you going to follow them or you want to stay? And Peter said something so fascinating, and Jesus was curious. That's why he asked the question, who do people say I am? And some said all sorts of names. Some said, oh, they say you're the Messiah and all that. And my point is, Jesus Christ was not fascinated by the crowd. If we were doing giveaway here every Friday and every Monday at CSDP, do you know the number of crowd? We can do giveaway. Yeah, we can pull that off. But this giveaway will not change Cameroon. Some people have taken the idea of giveaway to be a culture to have people around them. Give away. And I'm just looking at it. Can we go track those who have received giveaway and look at their lives? Right? Look at their lives. Have they started any successful business? And that business is booming today out of money they receive from giveaway. Because when we have this kind of culture, we have to ask, is it working? Jesus Christ did give away maybe 1 or 2 times in the Bible. The loaf of bread and fish was one of those incidents. You will rarely see that be a habit in the Bible. No country has been built on giveaway. A human being born in a nation have 2 hands, 2 legs, have eyes, have ears, think that someone needs to give them something to survive for nothing. Just give me something. Are you guys tracking? Because this is a message that you take back to the community. This is the message you take back when you see all of these behaviors online and people glorify this habit, and you get to tell them, yes, there is a place for giveaway. We are not discounting that. We are not saying never ever help people. We are saying this kind of culture will keep our country broke in the next 20 to 30 years. This culture of looking for money to come give people so that they can be around you. I was talking to a very influential figure from our country this morning, and he said he has established businesses back home, but people will not work. He's willing to pay, but people will not show up for work. And this validates, I think, what Mr. Kennedy said, that people only want to work when they need money instantly to do something or to spend on something. That is when they want to work. So that is why we are not worried about the crowd here. And that is why you see me dismiss crowd. At some point, I'm like, this is distraction. Because you have the people around And then now you're dividing your energy, because imagine, like we were talking about our website for the Cameroon Times. And we're like, okay, we're going to delegate this responsibility so that others can have other things doing, right? While we focus on other stuff. But I just want to let everyone know there is nothing, no aspect of this organization that I in particular cannot be effective at. It took me approximately 1.5 days. And I got on the website and I made something better than what we had for the Cameroon Times. Are you tracking? And I'm just saying that to say there's nothing that I will not put my mind to do and do it. And I'm doing it for free. And I'm serving Cameroon. I'm producing content for Cameroonians to see change happen in my country. One thing I told my big brother that I talked with this morning, I just let him know, I said, in spite of what is going on, I will not give up on Cameroonians. But I will challenge us. I will not. Never. That's the last thing I'll do. At this point in my life, I will not. The challenges that I've seen in our country and articulating them in the best of my knowledge, I think that is where leadership starts. As we go along this journey, it is left for each and every one of us to define those issues that we are dealing with in our nation and let your personal leadership be developed. Are we tracking? Are we tracking, friends?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Everyone is important, and don't let anyone fool you. Another illustration that Miles Monroe in one of his leadership classes taught was every part of a vehicle is important, because the way people respond towards leadership is a clear indication of the conditioning that has been done on each and every one of us. We have been conditioned to be followers. We have been conditioned to be this way, to think this way, to act this way, to respond towards life circumstances this way. We have been conditioned. It's a deliberate effort. The way people speak, even when some people write some comments, some people think comment section, it cracks something. It doesn't even touch me at all. They haven't even gotten there, right? The way you respond is a clear indication of what society has done to you. The conditions that you find yourself in today is a clear indication of where someone led you to, where we are today. It could be where your parents led you to. It could be where your community leaders, your teachers in school, your pastors led you to be the human being that you are today. Every idea that you have in your mind, they led you to think this way, to act this way, to believe this way about yourself. And this has produced the results that you're seeing in your life right now. And the big question is, how do you change that? Number one, being open to new ideas. They say a closed mouth is a closed destiny. I want to say a closed mind is a closed destiny. Some people are frightened by change. We want change. We want change. Okay, and then we show you how that change will look like. No, some people are frightened by that change. You say we want change. If somebody shows up with a strategy for change, okay, we are challenging that. I want to humbly say change will never come on your terms. Write that down. You might want to write that down. Change will never come on your terms. What God has said for us to be all that He created us to be is not on our terms. If it's on our terms, we want comfort. We just want everything to come to us. Right? But change will come on His terms, not on our terms. So How is a leader born? Because if we are not angry here about the conditions of our lives, we are not angry about the conditions in our country, we are not angry about the conditions in our community, then leadership cannot manifest. The Bible says what? Creation awaits the manifestation of the sons of God. Creation awaits the manifestation. That particular verse in the Bible changed my life. Because it says, if anything will change on earth, it is awaiting me to take action. It is awaiting my manifestation. It is awaiting your manifestation. Creation awaits the manifestation of the sons of God. Hear what the sons of God are saying. They are blaming someone for their problems. The sons of God are complaining. And that is why we here at CSDP, we are taking out this word complain and blame out of our vocabulary. Because if you look closely in the Bible, every time people complain, God visited them with more pain. When the children of Israel left Egypt, every time they complained, it was pain. There was a point God sent snakes to come visit them when they complained. So when I read that, I was scared. I'm like, I will not complain. I try to make the best use of every circumstance or situation that I find myself in life. I don't sit back and complain. I say, what is life teaching me through this problem? What can I derive as a lesson out of this situation? Because guess what? I could have the strength to design the websites, to make the calls and reach out to people and do what I ought to do. But if I have people around me that I think we are working together, I leave that responsibility over to them, and then I'm focused on something else just to turn back. Oh, this is not done. So if I know that I don't have that crown, then I structure myself in a way that I know I'm throwing my all into this. Sleepless night, I'll do something. And that is the kind of leaders those are the kind of leaders we are raising here. Cameroon becoming a different country will not be a walk in the park. We've tried it even through war, blood, and sweat. It hasn't changed. It will not be a walk in the park. But also, we will not achieve long-term transformation through violence, through bloodshed, through people living in this kind of fear that we see today. I want you to have the courage after you leave some of these meetings, as you walk into your communities, to challenge some of those philosophies that has to do with the way people have thought that this is how we solve our problems. This is where true leadership is born. If we leave this meeting the same, talk the same, act the same, behave like everyone else, at the end of the day, it wasn't worth it. Are we tracking? So, I wish I could share some stuff on my phone, but let me see. Let me see if we can make this happen. How many of you have gone to maybe I've seen the link of maybe the Nation Builders University lately? How many of you have seen that so far? Because we've redesigned the interface. Like we said, we have 5 more spots and we will start charging for Nation Builders University. This platform, we will not build Cameroon through giveaway. People will pay. And as they pay, it will help support the project. And that is how we change the country. And people really own every aspect of this transformation because they contributed. How many of you have seen the Nation Builders University website lately? Anyone? Anyone? No? Okay. How many of us have seen the shop pay?
I haven't seen because since the day of the mass dismissal, I've not been able to access the link again.
Okay, I'll go ahead as we are live right now. Let me go ahead and share that so that you can see that in your WhatsApps, so you can see what we have right now, because we've redesigned the interface. Yeah, before people get into the university now, they have to fill in some questionnaires to show their dedication on this mission. And we have just 5 spots, and we will start charging. Also, we have redesigned some of the t-shirts. You've probably seen pictures of those t-shirts. We've adjusted that on the new collection section on the website, where people can pay or buy or see what the t-shirt looks like and design one for themselves. We are planning to launch this book, The Cameroon Dream, by the end. Are you all seeing the book? Are you seeing this? Yeah. So the plan is to launch this book by the end of November. This book should start circulating in every Cameroon community, both home and abroad. So those are some things we have on our pipeline. Talking about personal leadership, Rosa Parks was a woman that was frustrated with the system here in the United States of America. Every time a white man walks into the bus, they have to stand up and give the white man the seat. That is what was going on. One day, this woman sat in that bus. A white man walked in and said, "Wake up and give me your spot." And that woman sat down and said, "I'm not waking up that day." Rosa Parks, one woman. And she said, "I'm not waking up." That day, a revolution started in America. And it's through that revolution that Martin Luther King Jr., a pastor, a reverend, became a civil rights activist that changed everything that we see about America today. But it was one woman. She sat down in that bus and said, "I'm not." She didn't. We don't know about her degrees, whether she has a PhD. We don't know if she has a master's degree. We don't know if she has maybe an undergraduate degree. All we know is that a woman sat down that day in the bus and said, "I'm not waking up. This thing has to stop." One. I'm saying this to say, because maybe you are looking at yourself and probably, again, because there's nothing more than you looking at yourself and underestimating what we can do. Ordinary citizens with determination for change can do in Cameroon. All the doctors, you've seen that they have failed us. Those who had PhDs and TV stations, you've seen it. If you are looking for that still, I want you to keep looking. Those who had age have failed you. We are the ones who know better and we can articulate the history of this country. They have failed. I knew it. Because you can tell if people are going somewhere or they are just bluffing. You can tell if people's cause is predicated on truth and authenticity. If people have the genuine interest of the people at heart, you can tell when they are talking. Do you really want to see Cameroon get better? Do you really care about even the Anglophone people that you claim you're fighting for? You can tell through their words, their rhetoric. You can see them out there and you can tell when they are talking. No matter the fancy words that they use, I just watch you. Where are you taking us to? Are you guys tracking? And that is why, like, why? Oh, I want to make Ambazonia become Eritrea. Eritrea, really? This is someone with a doctorate degree talking. Very smart individual. They have a lot of sophisticated rhetoric in their vocabulary, and they will spew out all these jargons, and we look at them. Wow, this man is educated. But you want, it is simple, because at the end of the day, when people talk, I ask the question, okay, when you're done with all this grammar, at the end of the day, what will the Anglophones look like? What will Ambazonia look like? They say Eritrea. I said, oh, there's an error. There's an error here. So these are snippets of errors that we saw from the beginning of this struggle that many people ignored, because the emotion for transformation was more than the actual transformation that we want to see, because the emotional thrill that we had, we were just passionate about the transformation. But I'll sit back and I look at it and be like, okay, when you're done, what will this place look like? That's a good question to ask. How will you take us there? Are you tracking? So it is one thing for the people to say, oh, we want to leave Egypt. It is another thing to ask yourself the question, okay, where are we going to? Okay, they say it's a promised land. It's flowing with milk and honey. Okay, that means it is better than where we are. But if where you are taking us to is worse than where we find ourselves, then I question that mission. It is better you leave me here. And that is why we are doing what we are doing here. Sometimes people are rushing to a place they claim is Egypt. But before you say it is Egypt, look at your surroundings. Which African country is that successful that you think that, okay, maybe if you take me to this direction, this is how it's going to look like? Are you guys tracking? So I want us to not be moved by what people are saying or what people are doing, not be moved by crowd, but remain constant. Do the right thing. Associate with the right people. Believe that the transformation is possible. Believe that we are the ones called to bring about this change. And there are a lot of conversations that we run away from because they are uncomfortable. But it's through those conversations, those tough conversations, that real transformation starts. Are we tracking? Are we tracking, everybody? Okay. Yeah. So the point number one is everyone has leadership potential. And I'm repeating that again. You were born to lead. Number two, leadership is about service and not position. By the end of this year, there's a testimony that I'll give to all of us. But just to prove to you that leadership is about service and not position. I can walk into a company and I don't have a position. But at the end of the day, my impact will be felt. And I will lead without assuming any position in that company. And if they give me, maybe I'll say no. Okay. A case study, because sometimes I'm saying the things I'm saying here, people listen to what I'm saying and they're like, okay, what I'm teaching here is my life. It's not just some theory or books alone that I have read, but it's my life. There was a time I was invited for a movie launch in Dallas, Texas. A friend invited me. I showed up for that movie launch. After that, they had an executive meeting. He invited me for that meeting. It was huge in Dallas, Texas. It was a huge association. I went in there and I sat there. So it was made up of mostly white folks, some Mexican folks, and some few black people. I sat in that hall. The whole burden of contention was how to make the film industry in Texas become maybe huge like that of California. I think that was the topic, because cinematography here in the States, it actually started in Texas, but today California is big, right? And they wanted to grow the film industry here. So people were giving their opinions on how to go about that project. I just sat there and I listened. And at the end of the day, the leader was asking, does anybody else has something to say, so that they can implement, take every idea into account and go on to implement so that they can build the film industry in Texas. I sat there and I was just listening. I heard all the ideas people gave. I asked myself the question, I have something to say, but I'm a young man from Africa. What I'm about to say, will it even matter? Do you know why I was saying all those things to myself? Because I come from a community where if you are a young person and you have a perspective, you are always told to shut up. You are told to keep quiet. Your ideas don't matter. But because I was in the United States of America and they said you are free to express yourself and people will praise you, I said, okay, I will give it a try. First time, when they asked the question, does anyone in here have something to say? I raised my hand and I stood up and I gave them a brief history about cinematography, movie production, starting here in Texas. That was a history of their own country, and I brought it to them. And then I asked the question, what is stopping Texas from becoming like California? Why not Texas? If California can do it, why not Texas? The same thing I'm saying here. If every other nation can do it, why not Cameroon? And I said, why not Texas? I said, we can. If we put our heads together, we can build the biggest film industry here in Texas. It is possible. I tell you what, the entire hall was clapping. They gave me a standing ovation. People stood up, both young and old, in Dallas, Texas. This is my story. I was shocked because I came from a place where they've always told me, shut up. What do you think you are? But they stood up and clapped for me. That's why sometimes I speak here and I'm a little bit agitated. I'm like, I don't get it. My own people, right? They stood up and they clapped. At the end of that meeting, my table was full. The president who organized that event did not have as much people standing around him to ask him questions like they were around me. I'm talking about both young and old people. People older than me from a community, a country, poor boy from Cameroon, like me. And they gathered around my table. They took my phone number. That day, they made me one of the executives of that film club. This is not film. This is real life. They made me one of the executives of that film club and gave me a spare key to that conference room that day. I almost cried coming down. I left that place immediately. I was on the phone with my wife. Are you tracking? That was the first encounter that I had with a Jewish man that has been like a role model to me. Very successful Jewish man. That is when I started getting into the Jewish culture. This Krav Maga, the Israeli martial art, that is when I started learning a lot about the Jewish people and the Jewish culture. That is how I got involved. It was through that one incident. He became my friend, came to my house. Wealthy man took me to his house. That is when I started learning that is books. They read books. And I said, okay, I'll come back and start reading books too. And that is where that relationship started. They made me an executive of that film club. And guess what? As we are speaking today, Dallas is growing exponentially in the film industry. Austin is becoming so big. I lived in Austin before moving to Houston. It's growing rapidly in the film industry. And I tell you what, I put a seed on the ground. I might not be part of the crew that changed the film industry in Texas, but I sparked the brains that would do it. And I know it will happen. It's a matter of time. So when I look at the people that stood in that hall that day standing up for me, and then I always ask myself the question, then I can't speak light into my own country of birth and see transformation. Are you guys tracking? I'm saying some of these things so that at least you understand me. You know where I'm coming from. You understand the journey that I've walked in life, to let you know that it is possible for us to build our nation. It is possible for us to achieve our dreams. Are you tracking? So I think we are almost. Oh, we start. Okay, we still have some time. So let's go ahead and have a conversation at this point. Based on what you're hearing, this book should not. It's not about me. It's about us. It's not about me. It's about our country. It's not about me. It's about what God sees in Cameroonians. That if there's anything, He says, say what you have to say and let it bring something out of them. Are you tracking? Yeah. So I want to hear from you, Mr. Kennedy. I see you, Miss Clarita. What do you guys think? Or what is your perspective on what you're hearing? Yes. Go ahead. Mr. Kennedy, go ahead. Yeah. Mr. Kennedy, are you there? Can you hear me? So the next point will be vision-centered leader. The first step towards leadership is not just about service, not everyone being born to be a leader, but a vision. That is where it starts. A vision is everything when it comes to leadership. Vision is the future that you see, that inspires you, that helps you to get into a state of mind where the presence, the circumstances of the presence, because when I look at all the issues that our nation is dealing with, I see opportunity. And that is really the perspective that I have about the circumstances that our nation is dealing with. I see opportunities to grow, opportunities to build, opportunities to become great, opportunities for leadership. That is what I see in our country right now. And that is the perspective that we really have and we should have. Because when we are overwhelmed by those problems, then we miss out on the opportunity to rise up to the task. So vision is very essential when it comes to leadership. You must see something better than where you find yourself right now. You must see a future that is better than the present. And you must focus on that future than you do focus on the present. Some people focus on the present Like everything that happens around them, they pay attention to it to the extent that they don't even see a better future. Imagine what will happen to us when we see a future that is better than the present that we find ourselves in. Imagine how we will behave. Imagine how we will talk. Imagine how we will carry ourselves. Because people are immersed in the problems to the extent that they don't even see the future. Let the problems in the present inspire you to see a better future. So vision is everything. Like what we have seen for our nation is bigger than the problems that we find ourselves in today. Because we believe that we were created for a time such as this to rise up to this task. I'm not giving up on Cameroonians. Then leadership also, it begins with personal responsibility. Personal responsibility. I emphasize that for a purpose. Because if we don't take this problem personal, there's going to be a struggle if we take it to be a collective problem. No, we are facing challenges within Cameroon in different ways. Some people is through taxes, some people is at their jobs, some people is through education, whatever that is. Some people is through maybe discrimination. We are experiencing the challenges in this nation differently. The way a nation gets to be developed or grow is when you find different successful people emerging in different industries, in different neighborhoods, and that is that collective growth that you can look at and say a nation is prosperous. It's not one person somewhere becoming successful and the rest are not. You see what I'm saying? If you go to, say, Down Beach in Limbe, or Etudi in Yaoundé, or you go to, say, Mile 1 Up Station, or GRA, you realize that you call it GRA. There are a lot of prosperous people around that street. But it's not one person within that street that became successful. It's a collection of different individuals that have different businesses or have different jobs, operate in different industries that came together in that area and constructed those houses. And if you go there, you realize that it's not just one person. And that's the mentality that I'm trying to inspire us to arrive at. That you understand that it takes collective work to build a great nation. It's not going to take one person in one corner building everything. It will take collective responsibilities. That is why personal responsibility is very essential. Imagine that everyone within the nation had that sense of urgency and purpose to build their country. Imagine what Cameroon will look like. That even those who are in position of power, that understand duty and responsibility, and they are doing the right thing, while others are not doing the right thing, and that is frustrating the entire nation. Imagine that they took it as a duty and responsibility to set that nation straight through their department. Imagine what Cameroon would look like. The resources will be allocated properly. The jobs will be allocated properly or be distributed properly. Right? Everything will align. Why? Because of personal responsibility. I say what I say and do what I do for my nation because I feel like if Cameroon will better, it's up to me. And everyone has to hold that same standard to themselves. Like if Cameroon ought to be better, it is up to me. All of us here, we are here at CSDP, at Nation Builders, because we believe that if the nation will become better, it is up to us. That is why we're here. That's why we show up here every Monday, every Friday, because we believe that it is our personal responsibility to build a country. Citizenship. Number 5, mentorship and legacy. Because at the end of the day, I think it's Denzel Washington that says this all the time, that each one help one, or each one hold one. And that principle is so profound, because sometimes many people achieve success in life and they don't think that they have a duty and responsibility to turn back and hold others, turn back and help others, turn back and raise others. This is what has happened my entire life, right? I've always been in that position where people always felt like, okay, just do it for you. Or people deprive you of those opportunities, or people don't want to show you what they are doing to be successful. And I said to myself, as a very young man, that the day I figure out what people are doing to be successful, I'm going to tell everybody. And that is the mission that we are on. That before we leave this earth, we leave everyone in our nation better than we met them. And that means disclosing every strategy to success that is available so that they can apply it in their own personal lives and achieve success. That is what mentorship is all about. You must desire to mentor others. What you know should not end up with you. And that is why we are stretching the marketing department of the Cameroon Times and also the guarantee magnet, so that we can create an environment where we can help market for companies, for businesses. Why? We want to show you everything that there is out there so that you can succeed in your own business. The world will be a much more better place, peaceful place, less stealing, less corruption, if everyone looks at another and say, it is my responsibility to help this human being become better. For us, the money, giving the money, that is real wealth transfer. But real wealth transfer is transfer of knowledge. I cannot emphasize this enough. I said real wealth transfer is transfer of what you know about what you are doing to make money to the next person so that they can know and also make money. That is what it means, teaching them how to fish so that they can eat fish for the rest of their lives, than giving them fish, because they will come back tomorrow to ask for fish. And the cycle continues from generation to generation, and poverty will never ever be destroyed. Why? Because why? We are always prioritizing those who give us fish rather than those who teach us how to fish. Mentorship. Leadership inspires change. I think we have a couple of points and then we'll wrap it up. The last point. Yes, it does not maintain the status quo. I'm skeptical about crowd. I'm skeptical about conventional thinking. When everybody agrees on a particular point in this society where we find ourselves today, I have a big question with that. I mean, like, I question conventional thinking. And I'll tell you what, there's a reason why few people are successful and many people are broke. Because why? Many of those people that are broke have a certain belief system that they all agree to. About society, about life, about money, about spirituality, about God. There is a certain belief system that the majority acquiesce to, which leads them to the condition that they find themselves in. How many percent of people do you think read books? Few. How many percent of people do you think have the courage to start a business? Few. Right? How many percent of people do you think have the right perspective about leadership? Few. That is why Ibrahim Traoré will emerge maybe in Burkina Faso, and we are chanting, right? Like, or the guy, the current president of Senegal, why? Because why? Very few people have the right perspective on leadership. And so when we see one that resembles that, we stand up and we like, yeah, this is what we are looking for. So what is happening? Very few people have the right perspective on leadership. And that is why few always lead majority. That is why majority is always wrong. That is why the vote that majority wins always create a leader that subjugates them, or they end up saying, no, this is not what we want now. majority is not always right. Majority doesn't win the vote. Informed majority can win a vote. I'll say yes. It's that simple. I was saying this a couple of days ago. When we say 1 plus 1 is equals to 2, nobody argues. Why? Because we went into a classroom where we were taught on 1 plus 1. So everybody knows 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. There's less argument. If someone says it's 3, we look at them as if they are crazy. All of us agree that 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 because we went into that classroom. Now, if we want to make sound decisions that govern our communities, govern our lives, govern our businesses, govern our community, we need to go into a classroom where we are taught about that. And after we are taught, we answer questions because everyone at least went to that classroom and understood what 1 plus 1 was all about. So that's why we have little argument about the solution to that question, 1 plus 1. I think if we treat most of our social issues like we treat mathematical equation, we'll have less problems. We'll have less opinions because everybody's gone through the class. Everybody has written the exam and everybody knows what the right answer is. And so if we are making judgment or making a decision based on a certain subject with everyone that is participating in the electoral process has gone through that class, we'll have less argument. And we can easily dictate error because we went through that class. So we must inspire change. We must not maintain the status quo. We want something different. If since the 1940s or the 1960s, there has been just one idea lingering around the community on how the nation should look like, I have a question about that. I question that. I don't just go with the flow like that. We're not maintaining any status quo, whether it's in the current system or is with maybe the secessionist idea. There's a problem with that. Let's focus on the people. Let's focus on inspiring the people. Let's develop the people. The people matter. All those systems, yes, the people can create better ones. We are here to serve the people and not the other way around. Every government is designed to serve the people. Every institution is designed to serve the people. Every organization is designed to serve the people. That is the essence of every institution. We should never lose track of that. Without people, we are nothing. If you open up a store and nobody comes there to buy, guess what? You shut down that store. So people underestimate faith. That's the last point, and we're going to wrap up this conversation. People underestimate your faith when it comes to leadership. But I want to say your faith and leadership, they are intertwined. And I think those are some of the principles that Miles Monroe taught us, right? You can never act contrary to what you believe. You only act based on what you believe. When they say faith, people make it abstract. It's what you really believe about a certain subject. So you cannot act contrary to what you believe about yourself, you believe about your nation, you believe about whatever that is. Your faith and leadership are intertwined. Are you tracking? Yeah. So I think I've said enough. Yeah. Yeah. Miss Clarita, what do you think about what you've heard?
Yeah, yes, it's really an awesome meeting, and I'm glad. Thank you for creating the awareness that we all are born leaders. I'm sure I'll try to take my part to play my role as a leader, and network in Cameroon is really bad. That's why you see some of us are leaving. But thank you very much for your patience, your consistency. Definitely, I can't regret attending this meeting. And it also let me know that apart from apart from the fact that I was born a leader, leadership also works with faith, with how I believe in myself. So, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I think we'll call an end to the meeting. If you've been watching online, I want to let you know that life is beautiful. It is easy. People complicate it. I mean, like, it's easy to achieve success. It's easy for us to get everything that we want in Cameroon and bless other nations even along the way. It is easy, but people complicate it. Be patient. Understand that everything that you're doing in this world, in as much as you bless others, someday it will not even matter. But it will help in this chain of development for the next generation. Those who started with the computer, they did not know what they were doing, or maybe they did know what they were doing. Today, we have taken it to a whole next level. But what you are doing does matter. But also, you should have that level of humility that at the end of the day, people will even forget you. And because we are working in God's purpose, so you're playing your own role. At the end of the day, do you know how many people we don't even remember today? A lot. Be humble. And that's all I'm saying. And humility doesn't mean you also refuse who you are. Know who you are. Speak up when it's the time. Be confident. You are a leader. And you were born to lead. And don't let anyone dim your light. If they are afraid of your courage, maybe they are the ones to step up, not you. They are the ones struggling with their insecurities. You are not the one with the problem. You will never be courageous enough to solve all the problems that we are dealing with in this world. No matter how courageous you think you are, you will not be courageous enough to solve all the problems that we are dealing. So let your light shine. And don't let people intimidate you with their insecurities. And those are the leaders that we are raising in this generation. They will make the Cameroon better. At least let's leave this place making it better. We will make it better before we leave the world. We will. And we know that God is preserving us and none of us will die untimely. Whether it's in an accident, whether it's someone conspiring, none of us who are part of nation builders, God has already numbered us. And we will see this transformation in our dispensation. That is the job that we have. And we will do just that. So I love you all. I'm praying for you, just like you're praying for me. And together, as we hold hands in determination, this transformation is near. Remain blessed and have a wonderful rest of your day.